Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, host of Invent America. And we had Guillermo on our show a couple of weeks ago, and now we get to see him in person. Thank you so much for joining us, Guillermo. And Guillermo's the inventor of Dynamic Framer. So tell us about your product, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah, thanks for having me. The Dynamic Framer is a three-piece kit that allows do-it-yourselfers to build walls professionally and accurately without that big contractor cost. So Hank Nick, who's my co-inventor, is also a residential contractor. One day we were sitting around trying to come up with an idea for making it easier for some of the training carpenters or do-it-yourselfers to lay out walls, because it was more difficult than what it really seemed like to lay everything out 16 inches on center in a consistent manner. So we came up with an idea for a template to install or identify easily 16 inches on center, so that you don't have to miss it, don't have to measure again. Once we had the template completed, we came up with an idea for a jig that guides the nails or the screws into the stud to make the attachment, or the toenail attachment, from the stud to the bottom plate. So once we started talking about the attachment, we started talking about how to make the wall level from top to bottom. So the third part of the kit is a leveler that ensures that the wall is straight from top to bottom. So it's a template, a jig, and a leveler are part of the three-piece kit for wall framing.
I know just enough about what you're talking about to know that it is very difficult. Been there, held the level, held the frame, and then saying, all right, this doesn't line up right. To know that I don't want to have to figure it out. I would rather just buy a kit. Preferably the guy that goes along with it too, so that I don't have to do it. But I've already got one of those. Anyway, you went to the hardware show with us last year. You were the first one to sign up to go with us this year. Tell our listeners a little bit about what you enjoyed about the show last year.
Yeah, well, I went to the hardware show the year previously just to kind of get a lay of the land and trying to figure out, okay, where do we fit in here? And I ran into you in your booth, and I thought this would be a good match for us, because we're not quite ready to get to market yet. We were just kind of developing a prototype. So last year we were part of your booth, and we had a prototype developed. So we were able to sit down or able to display it in person for people who wanted to find out more about the product. We brought a sort of a mock-up of a wall that showed how we would use it, and we got a lot of good feedback along with getting the word out about it. We were lucky enough to be chosen as one of the favorite finds by the influencers who were walking the show, and I got some stage time at the hardware show. We got a couple of very good leads with a company that was interested in potentially buying the product or licensing it. So we're in the process of kind of figuring out is this something we want to do. We're also in the process of trying to finalize the final prototype so that we can go into production. So the hardware show, the Inventor Lady booth gave us a lot of impetus to keep moving, and showed us that, hey, there's a market for this thing.
So excellent. We were delighted to have you with us last year, and we are looking forward to having you with us again this year. And you've got one of the prime corners, so good for you. And so, you let us know a little bit about how you came up with it, and where, what your plans are, what you're looking for as options of, going in startup mode or, going ahead and licensing. Tell us a little bit more about, what your plans are as far as, manufacturing, yourself, and getting it out there. Where do you want to go with it?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think most inventors find is difficult is getting from that idea to the actual production. We were fortunate enough to work with Purdue University Northwest here in developing our prototype. So they were able to kind of walk us through the process of getting everything drawn, making sure that it fits. We were able to 3D print several working prototypes just to make sure that, hey, this is what we want. Can we change this? Can we make it better? So right now we've explored manufacturing overseas and manufacturing here in the States. We've gotten, I think most people expect that you're going to get a lot less expensive manufacturing process overseas, and that's true. But you kind of lose some of that control going overseas, not necessarily knowing where the factory is or who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So right now we're talking with a local manufacturer here in Indiana to manufacture the final prototypes and get us a mold for production. They're close to us. It's it's more expensive, but I think having that direct contact and direct feedback from your manufacturer or your mold production company is, I think, valuable for us.
Yeah, it always comes down to the calculation of the numbers. You know, when we see different things being made overseas as opposed to being made here, we had one gentleman, he says, no, by the time I calculate the failure rate of what's coming in, I'm breaking even. And so some products are better made overseas just because there isn't the failure rate. His was in electronics. There is a failure rate. And then it's a matter of, can you have, does it make sense to have part of it made and then have it assembled here in the States? So when we look at those things, it's all about the numbers. For a lot of inventors, you can't use the multiple of 5, and every retailer, that's what they work off, is the multiple of 5. So that then it's like, okay, well, we're back to going overseas because in the US we can't deal with a multiple of 5.
Yeah, well, we have some moving parts that are part of the kit that need to fit perfectly. So it kind of fits our process better to have it close or on hand so we can see it, we can adjust it if we need to, and not get into an expensive mistake where it comes back from overseas and things don't fit like you like.
That's for sure. And I don't blame you. As much manufacturing as we can do here in the States, and like I said, it's all about the numbers and then comparing it against the failure rate. And when Ian was having his son, he does it now, all of his manufacturing in Southern California, because the failure rate coming back from China was so high. He goes, I'm breaking even and I don't have the failure rate anymore, so there's less headaches. So that's that's one of the ways we look at it. You compare failure rates to numbers and see where you end up.
Yep, that's a process that we're trying to work through, and that's where we're at now.
So, well, good for you, and thank you so much for being on with us. Listeners, if you want to see Guillermo's products, then you need to join us at the National Hardware Show, but we will list the website so that you can see some of the videos in action. And Guillermo, thank you so much for being on with us. And I will correct the mistake I made. He is not from Florida. He is from the Chicago area. And I know exactly where he's from because we used to live right around the corner from you there.
Thanks for having me, Rita.
So look forward to seeing you in March. Take care now.
Bye.